The mythical starship was supposed to be scrap. What I found proved otherwise. Most of them were forgotten, their histories erased by time and neglect. Some had exploded. Some had drifted too far from any star to matter. For Alara, the junkyard was paradise. Every discarded ship was a story waiting to be told. She floated between two hulks of metal, her magnetic boots clinking softly against the hull of a long-dead freighter. Her suit's lights illuminated the corroded surfaces, highlighting patches of alien paint and faded insignias. Her hand brushed against a panel marked in a language no longer spoken. She smiled. "Treasure," she muttered. Ilara wasn't like most salvage engineers. Most came to the junkyards for parts, to sell to the highest bidder, or to trade scrap for credits. Ilara came for stories. She wanted the secrets of the stars, not the money. And today the stars seemed ready to speak. Her scanner beeped softly. A signal, weak but distinct, appeared on her HUD. It was faint, like a whisper in a storm, coming from a ship long declared scrap. Its database entry had only 3 words: unremarkable, condemned, obsolete. "Unremarkable, huh?" Ilara said, curiosity lighting her eyes. She steered her small salvage pod toward the source. The ship was larger than it looked on the scans, a sleek vessel with smooth lines, almost aerodynamic despite the void. Its hull was scratched, faded, and pocked by micrometeorites, but there was something alive about it. Her pod docked with a soft hiss. Ilara entered through the airlock, her boots clicking on the smooth metal floor. Dust floated in tiny clouds around her. She ran her hands along the walls, scanning every panel. The ship was old, older than she expected. Some systems were offline. Others hummed. A soft glow pulsed in the ship's core. Ilara paused. "Hello," she whispered, half expecting an answer. The lights pulsed again, rhythmically like a heartbeat. She approached the central console. Her fingers hovered over the controls. This ship shouldn't exist, she thought. Every record called it scrap, yet here it was, humming with energy. She tapped a sequence into the console, watching as hidden systems slowly awakened. Panels slid open, revealing circuits and machinery that were decades, maybe centuries, ahead of anything she had seen. Then a projection shimmered into the air above the console, a holographic star map, flickering but clear enough to read. It was not any map known in the human databases. Stars glowed in colors she had never seen before. Lines connected them in strange patterns, leading toward uncharted sectors of the galaxy. Ilara's heart raced. She traced one line with her finger. "Where does this go?" she whispered. The ship answered in its own strange way. A soft vibration ran through the floor, lights pulsing in response. Then a voice, not words but impressions, a feeling of direction, of purpose, of something waiting to be found. Ilara stepped back, overwhelmed. You're alive?" she asked. The ship's hum deepened, almost like it was laughing softly. Not a laugh of amusement, but of recognition. It understood her. She spent hours exploring the ship. Each corridor revealed more wonders. Rooms that adjusted their temperature and lighting to her comfort. Panels that translated alien writing into something she could understand. Storage areas filled with tools she had never imagined. It was a museum, a laboratory, and a home, all in one. One console flashed a warning: access restricted, owner only. She ignored it, tapping through layers of security. A log opened, showing entries from someone called Captain Orion. The entries were brief but filled with wonder. This ship had belonged to a legendary explorer, one whose name had become myth among starfarers. Stories said he had traveled beyond known space, finding worlds thought impossible. Ilara's excitement grew. She had never expected to find a ship of legend. She had only hoped for a clean salvage job, but here it was, fully functional, alive, and waiting. Then she noticed a small compartment in the floor. It slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a cylindrical object, metal, worn but clearly important. She lifted it. It was a data crystal, pulsing with light like it carried a heartbeat of its own. She inserted it into a nearby reader. The projection changed. Now she saw a planet, blue and green, almost glowing. The data suggested it was untouched, ancient, and full of life. Not the kind humans were familiar with, but something different. Strange energy readings, structures that defied gravity, colors she couldn't name. Alara's mind raced. "This can't be real," she whispered, off-filling her voice. But the ship vibrated gently beneath her, as if assuring her it was. She spent hours trying to understand. She mapped the star systems, cross-referenced every signal she could detect. The ship was guiding her, subtly suggesting which paths were safe, which stars were worth exploring. It wasn't giving answers directly. It wanted her to think, to explore, to feel the adventure. Night came, or what passed for night in a station orbiting a dead star. Alara sat in the captain's chair, staring at the projection, lost in thought. She had always dreamed of discovery, but this was beyond her wildest imagination. A ship thought scrap, hiding secrets of a legendary explorer, pointing her toward a world no one had seen in centuries. A soft chime echoed through the ship. Alara looked at the console. A new message, simple but profound. "The journey begins." She smiled, feeling a mix of fear and exhilaration. She had no idea what awaited her, but she knew one thing: her life had just changed forever. Before leaving the junkyard, she took a moment to glance back at the ships drifting in the void. Most would never awaken again. Most would never tell their stories. But this one was different. It had waited for her, and now it was ready to show her the universe. Her pod detached from the dock, and she floated in space, staring at the massive hull of the ship that was supposed to be scrap. She reached for the controls. With a soft push, the engines roared to life, not loud, not violent, but confident. The ship was alive, and it was ready to move. Alara felt the familiar thrill of adventure. The stars were calling. She had no map for what came next, only the guidance of the mythical ship, and somehow that was enough. The junkyard receded into the distance, a graveyard of forgotten dreams. Ahead lay the unknown, filled with wonders, mysteries, and perhaps the greatest discovery humanity had ever known. And Alara, guided by a ship that should have been scrap, was ready to find it. Alara could hardly sleep. Or rather, she didn't try. Sleep seemed unnecessary when the stars themselves were whispering secrets through the mythical ship. Etherian, as she had taken to calling it, pulsed softly around her, lights flowing like gentle rivers along the corridors. She spent the first hours exploring deeper into the vessel. Every room was a surprise. One chamber, dimly lit with blue bioluminescent panels, smelled faintly of ozone and something floral, like the memory of life long gone. Tools and devices hovered in small magnetic fields, seemingly waiting for her to touch them. A console flickered. Alara approached it carefully. Symbols danced across the display, unfamiliar but not impossible. As her fingers brushed the panel, the symbols shifted into simple English. "Welcome, Seeker." Alara froze. "It understands me." She swallowed hard, eyes wide. The ship's response was subtle. Lights pulsed gently, the floor vibrating slightly, a rhythm she instinctively felt rather than heard. It wasn't speech. It was emotion, knowledge, and invitation wrapped together. For the next few hours, she experimented. She pressed panels, tapped sequences, and watched the ship respond. Doors opened not just mechanically, but as though they had waited for her permission. Systems activated gradually, showing her star charts, energy flows, and navigational paths. A hologram of a star system appeared before her. Bright stars rotated slowly, connected by glowing lines. The ship's display highlighted a distant sector, one entirely uncharted by human exploration. "This is impossible," she whispered. The map pulsed as if acknowledging her awe. It was no ordinary chart. It was predictive, showing energy currents in space, gravitational anomalies, and possible locations of habitable worlds. Alara realized the ship itself was a guide. Not a robot, not just a machine, but a companion. It didn't just take commands. It suggested, hinted, and encouraged exploration. She moved to another room. This one was quiet, almost meditative. A circular platform dominated the center, etched with strange glyphs. As she stepped onto it, the floor beneath her shifted slightly, molding to her weight. Images flashed before her eyes, abstract at first, then coherent. She saw swirling galaxies, planets forming, stars dying and being born. The ship was showing her the universe itself, not as data but as experience. Hours turned into days, or what she felt like days. In space, time was relative, and aboard Etherian she was not bored. Each discovery brought more questions, each question more wonder. One day, or the equivalent of one day aboard, the ship directed her to a chamber filled with strange devices. They looked like instruments for measuring energy, but they also seemed alive. Small orbs hovered in magnetic fields, shifting color as she approached. Each color felt like a note in a song she couldn't yet understand. When she touched one orb, it projected a vision. A planet appeared, blue-green and glowing faintly, unlike anything recorded. Cities floated above the surface, intricate yet harmonious. Energy moved freely without machinery or fire. It was not magic. It was science far beyond human understanding, gentle but incredible. Alara's heart raced. Could this be real, she thought, or is it a simulation? The ship responded not with words but with a pulse that ran through the floor. She understood instinctively. It was real. It wanted her to see it, to explore it, and perhaps to learn from it. Alara spent hours, maybe days, studying the visions. The ship revealed more than just the planet. It showed patterns in its orbit, the behavior of its energy, even glimpses of life, creatures and beings she could not yet comprehend. None of them were hostile. None of them seemed afraid. It was a world of balance, of creativity, of harmony. She felt a thrill unlike any before. Most humans explored space to conquer, to exploit, to dominate. But here, the ship was teaching her the opposite. Exploration could be about understanding, about curiosity, about gentle discovery. Alara realized she needed to prepare for a journey. The ship, though alive and intelligent, could not move without guidance. Its systems required calibration, its engines careful activation. It waited for her to make the first decision. She started with the navigation controls. The ship responded, not instantly, but as if it was testing her. Lights pulsed faster when she made careful decisions, slower when she hesitated. She felt a connection growing between herself and Etherian, like a partnership rather than command and machine. Days turned into weeks as she prepared. She repaired old systems, adjusted energy flows, and learned to speak to the ship using gestures, touches, and emotions. She discovered that the ship could amplify her thoughts, project her ideas into the star maps, and even simulate outcomes. Finally, the day came when she felt ready. The ship hummed with energy, brighter and more confident than ever before. Panels glowed, engines pulsed, and the hull itself seemed to vibrate with life. Alara activated the launch sequence. She held her breath as systems came online, lights flowing through circuits and conduits, illuminating every corridor in a soft, warm glow. The ship's pulse matched her heartbeat. Then, with a quiet roar, the engines ignited. Not with fire, not with destruction, but with the gentle power of controlled energy. Etherian lifted from the station, moving gracefully through the void. Outside, stars streaked past in long, silver lines. Alara's eyes widened. She had flown ships before, but never like this. The ship moved with thought, responding to her instincts, her curiosity. It was not a machine under her control. It was a partner in discovery. As they traveled, the ship projected a vision of the galaxy, highlighting sectors she had never seen in any human chart. Some stars pulsed with life, others glowed with energy patterns that seemed almost musical. Alara realized she was not just a passenger. She was part of something greater. The ship was alive, yes, but it also needed her. Together, they could explore worlds no human had touched, learn truths no scholar had imagined. Hours passed, or maybe days. The ship's pulse guided her, teaching her navigation techniques far beyond human technology. She understood how to ride energy currents, how to move through regions of space where gravity shifted unpredictably, and how to anticipate the subtle signs of planets waiting to be found. Then, a signal appeared on the main console. Not an ordinary signal, but a harmonic resonance, a pattern that matched one of the visions she had seen earlier. The ship responded, lights pulsing in excitement. "This is it," she whispered. "The world you wanted to show me." Etherian shifted slightly, almost like it was smiling. It adjusted its course, and the star map projected the planet fully. Its colors were brighter now, clearer and more alive. Structures floated above the surface, energy flowing like a river in the sky. Alara felt awe wash over her. She had always dreamed of exploring new worlds, but this was beyond imagination. Not just a discovery, but a revelation. The universe was bigger, more wondrous, more alive than she had ever believed. She realized something important. The ship had not just awakened itself. It had awakened her. It had taught her to see, to feel, to understand the universe as a place of possibility and beauty rather than danger and competition. Her mind raced with possibilities. What could humanity learn from this world? Could the knowledge here help solve energy crises, ecological collapse, or even social conflicts? Perhaps the answers lay not in power but in understanding. Etherian pulsed again softly. It was asking silently if she was ready. She took a deep breath. "I'm ready," she said. The ship responded with a gentle hum, a vibration that ran through her feet and up her spine. Together, they would reach the unknown world, and together they would explore it, not to conquer, not to exploit, but to understand. And in that quiet moment, floating through the endless void of space, Alara felt the true meaning of adventure. Not fear, not battle, not fame, but wonder. The journey had begun. Alara's heart pounded as Etherian approached the planet. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. The blue-green globe floated silently in space, its surface glowing faintly, as if the planet itself were alive. Swirling energy patterns traced across the atmosphere, forming shapes that seemed deliberate, intentional, like the brushstrokes of an artist. She adjusted the ship's course, feeling the subtle guidance of Etherian beneath her feet. The ship pulsed with excitement, or perhaps anticipation. Alara wasn't sure if it was the planet or the possibility of discovery that thrilled her more. As she descended, the true beauty of the world became clear. Cities hovered above the surface, graceful structures that twisted and curved in ways human engineering could never replicate. Bridges of light connected towers that shimmered like crystal. The energy beneath them flowed freely, moving like rivers, carrying no heat, no fire, just power harnessed perfectly. Alara's eyes widened. "It's perfect," she whispered. Etherian hummed softly, almost in agreement. She landed in a flat clearing near one of the cities. The ship's landing pads adjusted automatically, sinking slightly to stabilize on the uneven terrain. The airlock opened and she stepped out. The gravity was gentle, welcoming. The ground felt soft but solid under her boots. The first thing she noticed was the silence. Not the emptiness of space, but a calm quiet, as if the planet itself were breathing. No engines, no machines, no traffic. Only soft energy currents that she could see flowing faintly through the ground and buildings. She walked toward the nearest structure. Its walls shimmered with a soft light, shifting patterns like living paintings. She reached out to touch one, and it responded, bending gently beneath her fingers, then settling again without harm. The building seemed aware of her presence, welcoming but not intrusive. Etherian translated information directly into her mind. The structures were made of a material that could bend energy, responding to intent rather than force. It had been created by a civilization that understood balance in all things: energy, life, motion, and thought. Alara moved deeper into the city. She saw beings moving gracefully, humanoid but taller, with skin that shimmered faintly, reflecting the light of the floating structures. They didn't speak in words. Their communication was subtle, a rhythm of movement, gestures, and light pulses along their bodies. They noticed her immediately. Their curiosity was gentle, not fearful. They did not approach aggressively. Instead, one stepped forward and extended a hand-like appendage, a simple gesture of welcome. Alara hesitated, then reached out. The connection was immediate, a flow of thought and feeling rather than speech. She understood without words. They were scholars, artists, explorers of knowledge. They had built this world not for power but for understanding. They sought harmony with the universe, learning from its patterns and living in balance with its energies. Alara spent hours, or what felt like hours, walking through the city. She marveled at the floating gardens, structures shaped like spirals and curves, bridges of pure energy connecting towers. Small orbs floated around her, observing, reacting to her presence. Some projected faint holographic images, maps of the stars, records of ancient discoveries, lessons in physics and art interwoven seamlessly. The beings guided her to a central chamber. Inside, a vast pool of liquid energy shimmered. When she looked into it, she saw visions of the planet's history. Civilizations rose and fell, but always peacefully. Knowledge was shared, not hoarded. Mistakes were lessons, not punishments. The energy moved in currents that recorded everything, but nothing was lost. Alara realized the planet had been abandoned for a reason. The beings had chosen to retreat, leaving the world preserved until someone worthy or curious enough arrived. And now here she was. Etherian hummed beside her. It was part of this world's design, perhaps left as a guide for explorers like her. She traced her fingers through the energy pool, feeling connections ripple through her body. Every sensation brought new understanding. How energy flowed through matter, how thoughts could shape structures, how life and knowledge could coexist peacefully. Time became irrelevant. She moved through the city, learning from each building, each artifact. One structure projected simulations of worlds beyond her own galaxy. She saw planets forming, civilizations rising and creating harmony with their environment. She felt as if she were glimpsing the universe's hidden lessons. By what she estimated as evening, she reached a hill overlooking a valley. Streams of pure energy flowed like rivers, feeding gardens of floating flora. Birds, or creatures like them, glided effortlessly through currents of energy, leaving trails of light. It was not magic, Alara reminded herself. It was science, refined and beautiful, beyond anything humans had developed. She knelt beside a stream of energy, dipping her hand in. It felt warm, welcoming, alive. She could see information flowing through it. Knowledge, history, even emotion encoded in patterns she couldn't fully understand yet. Etherian vibrated softly at her side, helping her interpret, guiding her understanding. The sun, or what passed for one here, began to set, painting the sky with colors she had no names for. The city glowed softly, reflecting in the energy rivers. Alara felt awe and a profound sense of responsibility. Humanity could learn from this, but only if it respected what it found. She decided to document everything. She activated Etherian's recording systems. Holographic projections captured the city in motion, energy flows, structures, and the beings themselves. She took notes, sketches, and measurements, but she knew some lessons could not be recorded. They had to be experienced, felt. The beings observed quietly, offering guidance when needed. One projected a sequence of gestures showing how to align thoughts with energy, how to interact without disturbing harmony. Alara mimicked them, slowly learning the subtle dance. She realized the beings were testing her patience, empathy, and curiosity, not her intelligence or strength. Night came. The floating city shimmered like a constellation in reverse, lights moving in patterns across the sky. Alara lay back on a platform of energy, feeling the currents beneath her. She had explored planets before but never felt this level of connection. The world spoke to her through Etherian, through the energy, through the beings. She was learning, growing, understanding. A sudden pulse ran through Etherian. The ship projected a new vision, a distant city on the other side of the planet, glowing even more brilliantly than this one. The energy patterns were older, more intricate. The ship indicated it wanted her to go there next. Alara smiled. She had only just arrived, but already the world was unfolding like a story she could read in real time. Every step promised new discovery, new lessons, new awe. She moved toward the pulse, following the gentle hum of Etherian. The journey was peaceful, filled with wonder. She passed through forests of floating plants, bridges of energy, and rivers that reflected the stars themselves. Small creatures approached briefly, curious, before darting away, leaving trails of light behind. Finally, she reached the edge of a cliff overlooking the distant city. Its towers spiraled high, connected by light bridges that seemed impossible. The city pulsed rhythmically, as if alive. Alara understood what the ship had been trying to show her. This planet was more than a place. It was a library, a school, a sanctuary. Its knowledge was preserved, waiting for someone like her to appreciate it, to learn from it, and maybe, one day, share it responsibly. She took a deep breath. She was alone in a world untouched by conflict, untouched by human greed, and she felt hope not just for herself, but for all of humanity. Alara knew she could spend a lifetime here and never uncover all its secrets. And yet she felt that this was just the beginning. The planet, the ship, the beings, they were all part of a journey that had no end, only expansion, curiosity, and understanding. She activated Etherian sensors to record the distant city. Every detail, every pattern of energy, every movement of the beings would be preserved. She would share it carefully when the time was right. Humanity had to be ready for this level of knowledge. It had to learn not just to explore, but to respect and understand. As she looked across the valley, the wind, or its equivalent here, rippled through the energy fields. Lights danced across the rivers, bridges, and floating gardens. It was peaceful, harmonious, perfect. Alara sat quietly, letting the planet's rhythm wash over her. She understood now what Etherian had meant when it pulsed earlier. This is what exploration should feel like. And in that quiet awe, she promised herself that she would learn everything she could from this world, and carry its lessons back to humanity, carefully, gently, with wonder in her heart. The hidden world had revealed its first secrets. And Alara knew there were many more waiting, just beyond the next hill, around the next bend of energy, in the next city that floated in silent harmony. The adventure was far from over. Alara's journey back to human space felt different from any mission she had ever flown. Etherian moved with grace, slicing through the void effortlessly. Every star they passed seemed to recognize her now, glowing faintly as if welcoming her home. The hidden world she had discovered, its floating cities, rivers of energy and beings of light, was safely stored in her mind, her recordings and Etherian's archives. She knew she carried something far more valuable than treasure or technology. She carried a vision of what humanity could aspire to. Her first stop was the orbital station nearest to her home system. She requested clearance to dock, anticipating bureaucratic skepticism. Alara had seen it before. People would laugh at her stories, dismiss her findings as legend. But this time she was prepared. She had evidence, and she had the ship. As she approached the station, alarms began blaring, not because of danger, but because Etherian was unlike any vessel in the fleet. Its hull shimmered with light, its engines pulsed softly, and its very presence seemed to disrupt the sensors. Humans on duty froze, staring at the ship as it maneuvered calmly into the docking bay. Alara disembarked, heart pounding but steady. Scientists, engineers, and officials rushed toward her, curiosity written on every face. Questions came in a flood. Where did you find it? What is that ship? Are you serious? Alara smiled gently. She held up her hand. Yes, and I want to show you something far more important than the ship itself. They followed her back aboard Etherian. The ship's lights pulsed softly, greeting them without words. Holographic projections filled the main chamber, showing star maps, energy flows, and finally, the planet she had discovered. Gasps filled the room. Scientists touched the holograms, seeing structures and patterns they had never imagined. Engineers whispered in awe, recognizing principles of energy manipulation that could revolutionize propulsion, medicine, and architecture. But it was not just the technology that captivated them, it was the philosophy behind it. Alara explained carefully. This world was built for understanding, not control. Its people, if you can call them that, live in balance with energy, knowledge, and each other. They have no war. They have no scarcity. They have curiosity, creativity, and cooperation. We can learn from that. A scientist stepped forward, skeptical but intrigued. You mean they've solved all these problems without conflict? Alara nodded. Yes, and we don't have to copy them blindly. We just need to learn the lessons they left behind. She activated recordings of her interactions with the beings, showing how they communicated without words, how they guided her without force, how every structure and river of energy was both functional and beautiful. The humans in the room leaned forward, captivated. Then she turned to Etherian. The ship pulsed once, a wave of gentle light sweeping over everyone. For a moment they felt more than saw. Patterns of thought, rhythm, and understanding passed through them, subtle but undeniable. The ship was alive, and it wanted humanity to feel what it had taught Alara. The room fell silent. Every person present understood something profound. This was not just a discovery. This was an invitation, a call to explore not just space but knowledge, art, and cooperation. Over the following weeks, Alara worked with teams of scientists and engineers, translating what she had learned into practical applications. The principles of energy manipulation allowed for new kinds of clean propulsion systems. Architecture designs based on floating structures and energy flows inspired safer, more sustainable habitats on planets and space stations. Education programs incorporated empathy and curiosity as central pillars. But perhaps most importantly, Alara shared the philosophy. She encouraged leaders, teachers, and thinkers to understand exploration as a form of respect and learning, not domination. She emphasized patience, observation, and wonder, the very qualities Etherian had taught her. The news spread. Humanity had seen many wonders before, but this was different. There was no fear, no violence, no weapons, only curiosity, knowledge, and the promise of something greater than themselves. Alara became a mentor guiding young explorers who would travel to new worlds. She told them the universe is vast and we are small, but that is not a weakness. It is an opportunity. Respect it, learn from it, and you will discover wonders beyond imagination. Etherian remained by her side, a constant companion. It did not speak, but its lights and vibrations conveyed understanding and approval. Together, they trained crews, explored nearby star systems, and slowly prepared humanity for responsible exploration. One day, as Alara floated above a newly designed city inspired by her discoveries, she looked at the stars. The hidden world she had found shimmered faintly through the void, a memory in light and energy. She wondered if the beings there were aware of her efforts. She hoped they were. She hoped they knew their teachings were not lost. Then the ship pulsed again softly. A pattern emerged in the light, a new star system, uncharted and waiting. Alara smiled. The journey was far from over. Humanity had learned the first lesson. Exploration could be about wonder, not conquest. And now they were ready for the next. She transmitted a subtle signal into deep space. Not a call for help, not a demand for recognition, but an invitation. An invitation to those who might one day awaken other mythical ships, to discover worlds preserved by curiosity and knowledge. Ilara sat quietly in the observation chamber, watching the stars. She remembered her first step aboard the ship. The thrill of discovering it was alive, the pulse of the unknown calling her forward. She felt gratitude, not just for the ship or the world, but for humanity itself. They had been given a chance, and now, perhaps, they would rise to meet it. The orbital station below buzzed with life, inspired by the revelations she had shared. Humans worked together with new energy, building structures that mirrored the balance of the hidden world, studying energy systems and teaching curiosity as a core value. Slowly, subtly, civilization was changing, not through force, not through fear, but through wonder. Ilara knew the road ahead would be long. Some would doubt her, some would misuse knowledge, some would forget the lessons she had shared. But she also knew that the spark had been lit, a seed of hope, a belief in exploration, discovery, and harmony. She looked at Etherian. The ship pulsed softly, as if smiling back at her. Together they had found a myth, awakened it, and shared it with the universe. Together they had reminded humanity what it meant to dream beyond the stars. The ship projected one final image, the hidden world glowing peacefully, its energy rivers flowing, its beings moving in harmony. It was not a memory, it was a promise. A promise that knowledge, curiosity, and understanding could endure, even across centuries. Ilara took a deep breath. She had started her journey as a salvage engineer, chasing stories among forgotten ships. Now she had become a bridge between legends and reality, between myths and humanity. And she knew one thing for certain. The universe was full of wonders waiting for those brave enough to seek them, not with weapons but with open hearts. The stars stretched endlessly before her, glittering like promises. She smiled. Humanity had learned its first lesson in wonder, and the adventure was only beginning. Etherian pulsed in agreement. The myth was alive, and so was hope.